Hello there, YouTube. Devin here again, and today we are going to be doing a video on the French F2 helmet. Now, a lot of you guys might think that this is just kind of a run-of-the-mill Pazget copy, but this actually has a lot of intense innovation in it that is now kind of coming full circle and being used in some of the new, most modern efficient combat helmets. This is kind of the genesis of a lot of the new wonderful ECHs coming out, because this is one of the first military combat helmets to use ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene, otherwise known as Spectra fiber, which is a brand name for a certain type of weave and density of ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene that was derived by Honeywell. So it is a name brand type of fiber and panel and fabric and resin combination ultimately developed and patented by Honeywell, which is an American company most well known for their thermostats now. But for quite a long time, Honeywell, I believe actually to this day, it's not as big as it used to be, but they do have an aerospace and defense department of their company. But yeah, most people know Honeywell for their thermostats. But this is a Pazget derivative helmet, believe it or not. I have a Pazget right here off screen, and we'll show you here. As you can see, there's kind of some similarities. I will take the cover off of this when we flip it around and show you the liner compared to the Pazget. This did come out in 1992, to replace the model 1878, the model 1978, sorry, F1 helmet, which was a very late generation steel helmet. And for the most part, this has the same liner, the same suspension and everything as the later versions of the F1 helmet, but basically just upgrading it with a new shell that is widely documented as being 80% better in protection as far as coverage and better threat levels than the F1 helmet. So it's a huge, vast improvement. It does come at the sacrifice of weight and vision and hearing obstruction, but it does offer much, much, much greater protection. And of course, as you can see, it is in the wonderful CCE French camouflage cover. This is basically an issued cover and an unissued helmet, so we're getting it to look basically brand new here. So once again, this helmet came out in 1992. It was manufactured and developed by CGF Gillet of France. They would later go on to develop the Canadian CG634 as well, which if you have not seen my Canadian CG634 video, I believe I do have this helmet also in that video to kind of show you some similarities between that to where the Canadians derived their helmet from, which was mostly this. And then if you haven't seen my F1 helmet, which is the video that came out last Saturday in the playlist, it will probably good to watch that too and see where the liner and suspension for this helmet came from. So, but this helmet continued to serve for quite a long time. It's actually still in use with some reserve units. It's been kind of replaced by frontline units, such as by a couple different designs. There's a more cut down ACH style of helmet, and then there's also the feline helmet, which is being fielded by frontline troops, which has this big integrated kind of camera systems and stuff like that on it as well. So, and neat stuff like that. But for the 90s, this was a helmet that was kind of way ahead of its time. And it's probably my favorite single derived version of the Pazget ever. For those of you who've been watching the channel for any length of time, you know that my single favorite helmet of all time is the Personal Armor System Ground Troops helmet, developed by America in the late 70s and early 80s. And that went on to be an incredibly, vastly influential helmet. It's probably one of the most influential helmet designs. It's up there with the M1, which is another American helmet design. But this is probably my favorite single derived version of the American Pazget that wasn't made by the Americans. So this is an absolutely fantastic helmet. It's incredibly comfortable to wear. It has a hybrid liner, which is actually my favorite type of helmet liner. and for a lot of cool reasons and all that other good stuff, which we'll show you here very shortly once we flip the camera around and I get this damn cover off this thing. These French covers are near impossible to get off and on. They're so annoying to get on, so they're really easy to take off, but so annoying to get on. So all that other good stuff. So I'll take this off and I'll show you a shape comparison to an American Pasget, and then I'll show you the liner and everything like that, and we'll talk about some more stuff as far as markings inside the shell go and all that other good stuff, and then we'll flip the camera back around after that and show you how it looks being worn on someone and how to fit the chin strap and all that other good stuff, and then we'll wrap up the video. Alrighty, so first off, you can see right here the difference in shape between the F2 helmet and the American Pasget helmet. There really isn't one. They're pretty much exactly the same shell. They're pretty much the same thickness. The American Pasget here looks a lot smaller because it is a size small, and this French F2 is a size large. But that's, other than that, if they were the same size, they'd look pretty similar. They even have, most of their screws and rivets are in kind of the same spots, almost exactly the same spots, actually. So the French F2 does have rivets, which is why they're a little bit harder to see under the paint. They're a lot flatter. There's one that sticks out pretty good right there in the front. And the American Pasget has screws. So now this one, as you can see, is quite old and beat up. So you can see the Kevlar underneath this, which is that kind of nice yellowish hue, which is a good indicator that it's Kevlar. But this F2 helmet, as you see here, is white underneath, which is a very giveaway of it either being ballistic nylon, or in this case, most modern day cases, ultra high molecular weight polyethylene is oftentimes very white in its appearance. So now I'll take the chin strap apart and show you the liners here. So there is the American Pasget helmet on the right and the French F2 on the left. As you can see, they are very kind of similar suspension systems. They derive from each other, obviously. This one, the American Pasget system, standard suspension. No special things, anything, no really padding or anything. Leather, sweatband, nylon suspension system. This is a nylon blend suspension system. All right, and then as you can see here, it is all wrapped with foam pads behind every single thing. So behind the chin, behind the sweatband here, we have foam pads. Underneath the crown pad, there's foam pads. Underneath each of the little suspension arms, there's foam pads. This is actually a very customizable, very easy to adjust helmet. It has a drawstring for adjusting the height of the crown, and then back here at the rear, the sweatband just has a big Velcro piece that just overlaps. And it's a full leather sweatband, so you will never have this like soft loop side Velcro rubbing on your bare skin, which can cause quite a lot of irritation. The French thought of that. So unlike the Canadian CG634, you could see that they left the little keepers for the sweatband offset, so you don't get that one right here in the center that cuts into your forehead really bad, which is where a lot of the weight tends to focus on a helmet. Obviously, if you're running night vision and stuff like that, the weight tends to be quite further forward on the helmet, so it's good that these are offset so they don't dig into your forehead. The chin strap is adjustable via Velcro and a bunch of D-rings. It is a 3-point suspension system. Now, if we look at where you can find the markings and date your F2 helmet, you could see them right here, kind of on the inside of the earpiece here. It would be the right side earpiece. Some of them are marked in different spots, but for a general factor, so you can see that this one was actually made for the Army of France, and it was made by CGF Gallet in 1994, which means this is a pretty early one because they started coming out in 1992, but you really don't see large numbers of them making their way to the field in pictures and stuff until 1994. So 1994 is a pretty early one to find. I have seen earlier ones. I did previously own one that was actually made in 1992, but I sold that to a French collector because he really wanted a first-year production one, and he paid me quite a lot for it. So another difference that the French obviously upgraded compared to the American Pasget system is where the Americans basically just kind of revamped the M1 liner, and they wanted something. So one of the big drawbacks of the M1 liner was that if something went wrong, you had to send it in and basically get a whole new liner. The PASGAT was meant to be much easier to replace in the field. The sweatband comes off either with just clips or Velcro, and then the suspension comes out just by removing all these screws and these A-washers in here that you can see there, right at the tip of my thumb, and you can just screw in a new suspension. Now, the F1 was a helmet that was very innovative, being a late-gen steel helmet. The early ones would have been much like the PASGAT with screws and stuff like that, but the later ones, as you can see here, just being transferred over to the F2, the rivets that go all the way around the shell are holding in the female ends of snaps, and then the whole suspension system has the male end of snaps on them, or press studs as some of you know them. And so all you have to do to replace your hole, you could obviously replace the sweatband as needed and the crown bed as needed by which is where most of the wear is going to be. You could just unthread these from all the loops, the sweatband, and slide a new one in. The crown pad, which is also going to have a lot of use and touches the head quite a lot, easy to replace just by removing the drawstring, dropping in a new crown pad. But for some reason, if your whole suspension system is damaged, the new one can be replaced just by undoing all the snaps around the end of the shell and snapping in the new one. And you're all set. The chin strap's very easy to remove too. You don't even need to undo any screws for that. You basically just undo all these Velcro tabs and you can just unthread the whole thing from the D-rings. So the D-rings are fixed to the shell, unlike the suspension system. So if we pull off one of the snaps right here along the shell here where the chin strap bails are, you can see the chin strap bails are affixed to the shell directly. Those do not come off, but they're not really something you're going to need to be replacing in the field. And then the female snap just holds that bit in place, and then you can just pop in your suspension again and bam, good to go. Your chin strap, you could just thread through these little D-rings right here, these little buckles, these little M buckles, and you are good to go. Easy to replace in the field, no special tools needed. You don't even need a screwdriver, which was really good and really well thought out by the French Army. So much so that the Canadians copied it, but theirs went back to kind of the PASGAT style screws. It's almost the same liner, but back to screws, much like the PASGAT system. But they did reduce the screws because it became very apparent that much like the PASGAT system and this system, having all those rivets and all those screws around the helmet shell actually weaken the shell. It creates an egress point for shrapnel to hit, and it can run along the screw and in between the shell and the screw and get through a lot easier. It's a very, very small chance of it happening, but it has been documented that's a thing. So you see a lot of helmets try to get away from putting that many holes in the shell because it weakens the shell. So you see the Canadians go to a 3-hole design. 3-hole would be quite common. Most helmets nowadays will either have a 3 and or 4-hole design of liner attachment method, which is a lot better than the 6 or 7, or in the PASGAT cases, 8 holes that they drilled in the shell. But this was perfectly adequate for the time, and once again, a lot of people were not really concerned about that because it is such a small chance of a piece of fragment or something hitting one of these little rivets around the shell. That is a very, very tiny chance. But obviously, compared to the American PASGAT, they obviously have a 3-point system, which makes a much, much, much more stable helmet, much more comfortable helmet with the hybrid liner compared to the suspension. So you get all the benefits of the pads, because the pads are going to help reduce shock trauma transferred into the head. It's going to make it much more comfortable to wear, a lot more better weight distribution and stuff like that. But you still get all the benefits of the suspension, like being able to easily adjust the helmet for different climates and fitting different layers of insulation and stuff under here, such as winter hats and stuff, which is the suspension system is very good at doing, where pads are not. So the hybrid, you get kind of the best of both worlds, and it's a very rare system you don't see used a lot. Basically, France and Canada are like the 2 countries that do, and it's a very, very awesome system. And unfortunately, it never really caught on. It is quite expensive to produce, though. I do understand why a lot of countries didn't go for it. But now we'll flip the camera back around. I will throw the F2 on, and we'll see how it kind of fits and looks, if it bites anywhere, all that other good stuff as far as when you were going prone or turning your head, and we'll see how stable it is and all that other good jazz. So, and stay tuned for that. Alrighty, so here we are back again. I did not put the cover on the helmet because Once again, like I said, it's an absolute pain to put those covers with the big rubber rims on these helmets. So we're going to show you how to put the helmet on. Like most helmets, you would put it over your head, and how you attach the chin strap is there's this little D-ring right there, as you can see. You put your chin cup over your chin, you take your Velcro strap and you slide it through the D-ring, okay? And then all you do is you just fold it over on itself, just like that. There you go, you have your helmet on. Now this system, not as well liked as the F1 helmet, the early gen F1 helmet. If you haven't watched my F1 video, my F1 helmet is the early gen F1. It has the double snap chin strap. That chin strap is very easy to break away and stuff like that. This is not. If you need to get somebody, like if they're injured, if you need to get their helmet off in a hurry, it's a lot more fuss to try to get this off than it would be to just yank and have those snaps come apart. So especially if your Velcro isn't worn out like this, like when this helmet was new, because to the French's credit, they actually have very, very good Velcro. So if your Velcro isn't as worn out as this one, this is much more annoying to get off in the event of an injury or something like that. But the benefit is it doesn't really come off unless you want it to either. When you're in a firefight or something like that. It doesn't adjust very easily. You don't have to really worry about it coming undone, once again, as long as your Velcro is good. That is one of the problems with Velcro, is it does wear out and it does need to be replaced. But their Velcro is actually very incredibly easy to replace because it's all on the tail. So if you have any basic sewing skills or access to a sewing machine, it's incredibly easy to just undo the threads on this and then sew on a new strip of Velcro and you're back in action, basically. Or once again, they would issue a whole new chin strap, which you could replace without tools on this helmet. It's a very, very well thought out design. So as far as stability goes, as you can see, it doesn't really move around a lot on the head. It is quite stable, despite being a very heavy design, because it is a Pasget. It is quite stable, very, very comfortable with the hybrid liner. I don't feel really any pressure points or wear points on my helmet. There isn't a lot of play, as you can see. It's very, very stable and very, very comfortable to wear for quite a long period of time, despite the amount of weight it is, because the hybrid liner gives you very good ventilation and very good padding and very good weight distribution. So it's not like the Pasget where all that weight is on that little donut ring that's cutting into the top of your head. And it's not like an ACH system where all the pads are pressure points, because that's where all the weight's being focused. So it's really, really comfortable, and I quite enjoy this helmet. Like I said, this is my favorite version of the Pasget helmet. It's very hard to beat the comfortability and coverage that this helmet gives you. And once again, it is made out of ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene, basically the first helmet to do that, and now the American ACH, the helmet capable of defeating rifle threats, is made out of the same thing as this, albeit with kind of a different weave and a blend of resin that makes it much stronger, but same material. So now I'm going to spin myself around. We're going to see how the helmet looks being worn by somebody, how it's going to be used when I get to full 180 from how I'm orientated toward the camera right now, and we'll see how it bites, if it bites anywhere in the back of the neck, or if it would be affected by body armor with collars and whatnot, and then we will flip all the way back around and conclude the video. So here's how it would look from the right side profile. Here's how it would look from the rear, and now as you can see, I'm going to try to keep my hoodie out of the way. If we look up, this helmet does not bite at all. A very good design of the French chin strap, very, very high cut, keeps the helmet very stable, but there's nothing here to get where your neck would pinch or bind. The chin strap stays very up near the shell. There's quite a high relief cut back here, which does again aid in ventilation and does prevent body armor that has quite high collars, which was very common back in the generation of this helmet. So it would probably not interfere too bad when you're going prone and trying to shoot, as with a lot of helmets you see even nowadays, currently designed helmets. They bite, and what that does is it means is it puts pressure on your neck, and that forces the helmet up like that. And it blocks your vision when you're trying to go prone or shoot, or if you have body armor that's too tall, the shell will hit the body armor and force your helmet up like that, obstructing your vision, which is obviously bad. So, and then here it is from the left side profile, and back around to the front. So if you can get one of these helmets, I highly, highly encourage you to get one of these helmets. They're absolutely fantastic, and probably one of my favorite things. Like I said, probably one of my, in at least top 3 favorite helmets of all time is the French F2, because it is just like an American Pasget, but better. It is much, much, much more comfortable. It's like the CG634. If you're interested in Canadian stuff, they actually used a lot of these for quite a while they were figuring out the CG634 and all this other good stuff. So Austria also adopted the F2. Basically, instead of the Schubert, they used it for a very, very long time, which is another really cool fact about them. They have these really nice rubber rims on them, so you often find them and they're in pretty good shape. Later ones obviously would go to like the plastic rims and all that other good stuff. But if you can get a French F2, I highly recommend you do. They're an incredibly sweet, sweet, sweet helmet. And they have obviously these fantastic hybrid liners that are incredibly comfortable to wear. So I cannot sing the praise of this helmet enough. Obviously, they are getting rather hard to find and quite expensive as collectibles. But I do have 2 of them still, and I'm quite beyond happy with how nice these helmets are, and I really cannot complain about them at all. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and you subscribe if you like this sort of thing. If you do think I am worth a contribution on Patreon, especially this time of the year and Christmas, it would just go absolutely fantastic for me. That would be absolutely wonderful. If you guys, even as little as $1 for just 1 month on Patreon, it will get you into the Discord, which I call the Cult as well, where you can talk to all the other Patreon members, and there's a lot of really, really cool people in there, and I learn stuff from them every single day. So if that's something that interests you, it is a absolute huge thank you to me if you do choose to support the channel. If you do want to do just a one-time contribution, there is links to the PayPal as well on the Abouts tab of my channel. I will leave a link to the Patreon in the description. Anything you can do to help contribute to the channel is very, very vastly appreciated. It means the absolute world to me that you guys want to watch my stuff and all that other good stuff like this. And I try to stay very down to earth and very, very kind and nice to people as well, especially if you're looking for information or anything about something specific. The only thing I really can't help you with is where to find anything like this or what the price would be. Because it has so many different factors and stuff like that on where you live and local laws and stuff, and whether surplus is dried up or not. I've owned a lot of stuff for years, so I have no reason to go looking for it now today, so I really can't help you find something. I really can't do any better job helping you find something than doing a Google search. That's the best thing I can help you with. But if you're looking for more information or stuff like that, I'm more than happy to help you guys out in the comments and whatnot. So thank you all so much for watching. And I'll probably, hopefully, this will be the last video before Christmas. So I wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa, beyond Happy Festivus to all of you guys out there, all that other great stuff. Whatever you choose to celebrate or not celebrate, I still hope it's a good time for all of you. And despite the whole pandemic and everything like that, I really hope you all get to see your families and enjoy time together and all that other great stuff, and look forward to seeing all of you in the new year. So thank you all once again for watching, and I will see all of you in the next video. Bye-bye now.